We are definitely going to build a bunker before we release AI. Those were not the words of a paranoid survivalist. They were whispered in a closed room by the chief scientist of OpenAI, the man currently architecting the engine of our collective future. In the summer of 2023, the architects of our reality made a calculated choice. While you were checking your credit score or worrying about the rent, they were modeling the exact second the social contract would finally shatter. Right now, they are extracting the final drops of public wealth, trillions of dollars, to fund subterranean fortresses behind hidden gates. But here is the truth you need to hear. They are not hiding from an asteroid or a nuclear winter. They are hiding from the consequences of their own creations. They are building lifeboats with the fuel from your sinking ship. This is the silent migration of the billionaire class. The door is closing, and you are standing on the outside. But the door was not always made of steel, and the architects were not always hiding. To understand why they are leaving, we have to go back to the moment the invitation arrived. In 2017, media theorist Douglas Rushkoff was invited to a secret resort to speak about the future of technology. He expected to discuss renewable energy or the ethics of AI. Instead, he found himself facing 5 of the world's wealthiest hedge fund managers. They did not care about the planet. They wanted to know one thing: how do I maintain authority over my security guards? After the event, they were already modeling the collapse of the US dollar and the end of the social contract. They were not looking for ways to prevent the fire. They were looking for the best way to watch it burn from a safe distance. While those men were planning their exit in the desert, another fortress was rising in the Pacific. In 2015, the peaceful island of Kauai began to change. Mark Zuckerberg began quietly buying up hundreds of acres of ancestral land. It started with a promise of conservation, a noble intent to protect the environment. But the reality was a perimeter. For families like Julian Akos, this was not a conservation project. It was an erasure. Julian had to fight for months just to gain access to the grave of his own great-grandmother. Her resting place had been absorbed into a top-secret compound. This is the shared sigh of our generation, the realization that the ground beneath our feet is being fenced off by the people who sold us the dream of a borderless world. It was the birth of a new feudalism. These men, who once preached about connecting the world, were now spending hundreds of millions of dollars to disconnect themselves from it. They were building latifundias, isolated, self-sufficient estates reminiscent of the falling Roman Empire, estates designed to provide everything: food, water, and security, while the public infrastructure outside began to rot. The noble intent of the tech revolution was dead. In its place was a cold, mathematical extraction. They knew what was coming because they were the ones holding the ledger. The shadow on the wall was not a ghost, it was a blueprint. While the world was distracted by the theater of politics, the architecture of the exit was being finalized in the dark. July 4th, 2025, while the rest of the country was watching fireworks, a document was signed that changed the physics of your future. It was called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, or the OBBBA. On the surface, it was presented as a triumph of deregulation, but beneath the ink, the numbers tell a different story. 10 million citizens are projected to lose their health insurance over the next decade. $187 billion. That is the amount brutally cut from the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. This is not just a line on a graph. It is the reason millions of families will wake up in a cold sweat at 3 a.m., wondering how to fill a lunchbox. This is the apathy assassin, the moment the abstract math of Washington becomes the physical pain of the kitchen table. While the safety net is shredded, the federal deficit is projected to explode by $3.4 trillion, all to fund tax cuts for the people who are currently building the walls. Imagine you are on a sinking cruise ship. The captains are secretly replacing your life jackets with lead weights while using the ship's remaining fuel to power their private escape. This is the pensionization of risk. It is the linchpin of the entire theft. Economists call this algorithmic dispossession. But in the bars of the real world, we call it a heist. Companies like Apollo Global Management are quietly draining $6 billion a year from public pensions through secret, no-bid contracts. They are moving their high-risk, junk assets into your retirement fund. They take your hard cash, the money you saved for 40 years, and use it to buy physical land, water rights, and subterranean bunkers. They get the hard assets, you get the paper risk. In Hawaii, Mark Zuckerberg's compound is the physical manifestation of this ledger. Beneath the tropical paradise lies a 5,000 square foot underground fortress. It is protected by a metal blast door weighing 8 tons, filled with concrete. It is designed to withstand a direct hit or a social revolution. It is soundproofed, keypad locked, and deadly quiet. In Florida, Jeff Bezos and his peers have retreated to Indian Creek, an island fort constantly surveilled by Israeli-designed radar and thermal cameras. A $30 million estate tax exemption for them, while you lose your safety net. This is not just about bunkers. It is about the work requirements imposed on the 64-year-olds relying on Medicaid. If you cannot work 80 hours a month, you lose your care. While the government allows your 401k to be infiltrated by high-risk, private credit, the billionaires are hoarding sovereign land. They are converting your future into their survival. They have mathematically modeled the exact second the system implodes. They are using the extracted profits to fund their exit before the AGI is even released. They aren't just leaving the economy, they are leaving the human race. They are building a world where your labor is redundant and your survival is an unbudgeted expense. This is the reality of 2026. The captains have already boarded the helicopters. They are just waiting for the last bit of fuel to be drained from your life. The heist is almost complete. The only question is, what happens when the door finally shuts? Pixel is not a mistake. It is the only part of your reality they still care to watch. Because as the door shuts, the very nature of what it means to be a citizen is being rewritten in a language you were never taught to speak. You're witnessing the bifurcation of capital. In the next 10 years, society will not just split by wealth, it will split by reality. A cognitive elite is physically seceding from the human story, leaving the remaining 99% trapped in a deteriorating public cage. This is the transition to the sovereign individual. It is a philosophy born in the dark corners of Silicon Valley, now manifesting as a global reality. They are not just building bunkers, they are building technologically autonomous, biometric-secured microstate. Secession is intellectual, too. Look at the University of Austin, or UATX. It was pitched as a fortress for free speech, a faculty of the canceled. But beneath the rhetoric, it represents a deeper fracture. And founders like Steven Pinker resign, citing a Trump-Musk style of trolling. They are signaling the end of the shared academic dream. The elite are no longer interested in debating the truth with you. They are busy building a new, private truth behind a $100 million endowment. They are moving toward a world of automated triage. While they enjoy the fruits of a GI in their island enclaves, your healthcare, your municipal services, and your very rights will be managed by algorithms programmed to prioritize efficiency over humanity. This is the Socratic reveal. Ask yourself, why are they building these bunkers now? It is not because they fear a random act of God. It is because they have mathematically modeled the exact destruction their own lobbying and their own AI will cause. They have seen the ledger. They know that between 1979 and 2018, your productivity surged by over 64%, while your pay grew by less than 14%. They know the rubber band is about to snap, and they made sure they were not standing in the room when it does. They are funding the exit with the profits of your dispossession, the OBBBA, the private equity raids on your pensions, the automated healthcare cuts. It is all one, unified, mathematical exit strategy. They are colonizing the future, and you are not on the guest list. You're approaching the event horizon of human history, the moment where the interests of the people who own the world and the people who live in it diverge forever. They have become sovereign individuals. Them, you are no longer a citizen or even a consumer. You are a biological server, a surplus population to be managed, rationed, and eventually archived. This is the existential cost of the blind door. They aren't hiding because they are afraid of the future. They are hiding because they have already finished building it, and they know there is no place for you in the architecture of their new world. The door is not just made of steel. It is made of information. It is made of the data they have and the data they have taken from you. And once it locks, the silence will be absolute. But even in the absolute dark, there is a frequency they cannot jam, a part of the human spirit that refuses to be archived. Because while they are building their tombs, the world outside is still breathing. And it is time we remembered how to breathe with it. The leaf did not just survive, it shattered the floor. Because the one thing the architects of the exit cannot model is the stubborn, unpredictable power of human connection. Look at Kauai. Over 1 million people signed a petition that forced Mark Zuckerberg to drop his quiet title lawsuits. He tried to fence off the ancestors, but the living refused to move. Across the US, a silent rebellion is growing. People are trading their high-speed feeds for dumb phones. They are joining offline clubs to reclaim their cognitive sovereignty from the AGI. I know you are tired. We all are. Between 1979 and 2018, your productivity surged by over 64%, while your pay grew by less than 14%. That exhaustion you feel is not a personal failure. It is a mathematical validation of a system designed to drain you. But when you stop running their race, their walls lose their power. They want you to believe the only way to survive is to build a bunker. But the real fortress is not underground. It is in the local, the physical, and the human. While they colonize the future, we are reclaiming the present. By focusing on hard assets you can actually touch: land, community, and skill, you become unhackable. The blind door is closing for them, not for you. Let them hide in their soundproof tombs. The world outside is still yours to build. They are the ones leaving, we are the ones staying. And for the first time in a long time, the air is clear. Stay grounded,